So, welcome to Brooklands on a bright and slightly chilly April morning. We're here to mark the occasion of MG Era 2019. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're here at Brooklands and I've just observed this marvellous looking car. I'm here with the owner, and your name, sir, is?
Colin Henderson.
Colin, welcome to Brooklands this morning. Just tell us about the car.
And I bought this about six years ago. I was fortunate enough to drive Peter Green's Aramist, an NE, and it drove like it was just sheer beautiful. And in my view, better than a K3, which is apparently the MG's ultimate car sort of thing. So in a nutshell, I rebuilt it with under Peter Green's supervision, as you might say, because he had the car, and so it's took me 4.5 years. Painful, I must admit. It's been a pig to. It just didn't want to be restored, if you might say. Some cars don't, and they struggled, and I struggled with it. But we got it done. It's finished. It's on its fourth outing. And first one was New Year's Eve. Next one was a breakfast morning, which is, I think, is a wonderful event, because it's simple. You can come down, have a bit of breakfast, talk to the lads, and then disappear.
Show the car off.
That's right, yeah. And that's number 4.
So mechanically, is it as standard?
Yes, it's exactly as standard. It hasn't got a supercharger on. It has nothing that the original didn't have, as you might say. And obviously under Peter's help and guidance, as you might say, clipped me around here a few times when I was stepped out of line.
Absolutely. I must congratulate you. It does look beautiful. It's just a lovely looking piece of machinery.
Well, it's not quite finished.
No, well,
it should be.
Never are, right?
Yeah, no. You always leave saying there's a chrome, there's a rod to go across the road, a badge bar to go there. There's 1 or 2 bits and pieces, but you really want to get them out on the road as quick as possible. Enjoy them.
Brilliant, thank you so much. Chamberlin here with his J2 in the guise of a J4, for those people who know what that means. I'll let Roger explain a little bit about the history of the car, where it's been and exactly how it's been built. Roger?
Okay, well, I brought the car from a chap called Peter Seeger Thomas, who brought it as a wreck and decided to rebuild it as a fast road J2.
Right.
No intention of building it as a J4 replica, but then he sold it to Dave Jarvis. I bought it from Dave Jarvis, but in the meantime I'd done a lot of the extra bits to it to make it more like a J4, with things like torque reaction cables and the MV gearbox, secondary oil tank under the bonnet, the sort of things that a J4 would have had.
So just for the uninitiated, the J4 was built for what reason?
The J4 was the racing version
of the J2.
The J2 was the road-going version, 2-door road-going version. The J3 was still a car with doors, but it had a 750 engine with a supercharger, so it was a sportier one. Right. The J4 was in this guise with no doors and built for out-and-out racing with a bigger supercharger.
Yeah. And the blower on it is what?
The blower on this one is it's a Marshall cabin blower.
Right. Okay.
So it's a Godfrey Marshall Mark 22 sort of thing they had in aircraft, and the time Peter brought this, you could buy those for about £25 from an aircraft breaker.
And that drives directly off the crank?
Off the front of the crank, yeah.
So no belt or anything
no.
like that?
If you brought a P-type, I don't know if you could buy a J-type supercharged, but if you bought a P-type from the factory that was supercharged, it would almost certainly have had
that
a side-mounted blower, belt driven.
Yeah.
But these were driven off the front. That's one side of it. You see, that's the secondary oil tank, which is not, you don't need it with a root supercharger, but you need it with a centrifugal.
Because it just blows it straight through, doesn't it?
Yeah, it uses all the oil up, and that feeds a float on the side of the sump.
Just to point out, the Achilles heel on these with the vertical dynamo is a plate that sits on the top that actually drives everything else. The if it shears, then you are in serious trouble. And unless the dynamo is lined up properly,
Yeah.
it goes off on an angle and it will snap the. So it had a bad reputation with snapping those, only because jokers put them back together wrongly.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is a great pity. Looking good though.
Looking good.
There you go. I have to say, it is a lovely looking car. I've always said that to you. And I know you enjoy driving it, and it drives well as any J2 stroke J4 could drive.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably.
But we know the historical thing about stopping the damn things. But
well,
they're
this
great
has never been a problem.
No, I know.
It's only your one that doesn't stop steam. This one's fine.
Yeah. At that point, we'll cut it. Good morning and welcome to Brooklands. And you are?
I'm Mark Borowski.
I won't pronounce the second one, but Mark, welcome.
Mark, that's it.
We were just admiring the car. Looks very original. How long have you had it?
I've had it since 1966. It's my student car, and I owe it a debt of gratitude, obviously.
Yeah.
And I've kept it, and we have a sort of Dorian Gray relationship, this car and I.
Yeah, I mean, what I like about it, and don't take this wrongly, it is what it is, isn't it?
That was the purpose of it.
Absolutely.
Really, one wants to keep it as close to what it was when it was around.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to keep its youth as well as mine.
Yeah.
Same time.
Which is the easier one to do. So, being very nosy, how much did you pay for it back in...
£285.
And that was a lot of money.
It was real money in those days.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I drove it around until university years were over, and then carried on.
Right.
And I was an apprentice here on this site, actually.
Oh, were you? To do with...
British Aerospace.
Right, okay.
So it came here too.
Right.
So it's a local.
And do you live locally now? Or
No, I live in London now, but
Right.
the car still lives in Surrey. And,
Okay.
You can't drive this car in London, that would be a waste.
Well, it damaged the car more than anything else. So what made... I mean, a lot of people go through phases of saying, right, you buy your first car or your car when you're at college. What made you keep it? What was the driving force that...
Oh, I could never part with it. I think once you've experienced MG ownership, that's why it's the biggest car club in the world.
It is.
Once you've experienced MG ownership, the car involves you. It breaks down in a stylish way.
It kind of owns you, doesn't
Exactly, and you do it favours. So
Yeah.
it's like having a spaniel. You know,
Yeah,
you can't not like it.
it? No.
But it drives well. It's actually a good car.
Yeah.
And it was ahead of its time in many ways.
It was.
And it's the last chassis car MG made.
Yeah. Absolutely
so you
right.
have to put your own stamp on it without changing what it is.
And you're obviously delighted that you kept it.
Oh yes, absolutely. I mean, I have another MG, an MGTF, and I didn't bring that today.
We can't bring both.
That's a clue.
Yeah, can't bring both. So, yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for taking the time to be with us.
Pleasure's mine.
And showing the car off.
It's
welcome home.
It's a great day.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank
It's good morning. Steve Clarke from
Morning.
Brooklands TV, and you are?
Richard Jarvis.
Richard Jarvis. Fine piece of machinery. I know it belongs to your father.
Yeah.
But you'll get it one day, won't you?
I think so. Yeah, hopefully so.
Can you tell us a little bit about the car? Bit of history?
So it's been in the family for about 30 years. It's a MG L2 Magna from 1933, one of 90 made. It's a straight six engine. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah, and it's been in the museum for quite a while as well.
it has.
hasn't
It was on display in the museum for a little while.
Yeah.
But as we're using it a little bit more, it's just easier at home kind of thing.
Yeah. And still drives well?
Yeah, it drives absolutely fantastically. I was cold this morning, but the car was fine.
Is it a standard colour from the time? Do you know whether it was a...
We think it's an original colour. When we got it, it was in need of restoration, so it was restored. And as we were going back through the layers of paint, this colour was
it was there.
It was there kind of thing.
I mean,
so
it is quite distinctive, isn't it?
yeah,
You know, when you look around of other sort of pre-war stuff, it is quite distinctive, and it's a good-looking car as well.
especially with the red wheels and interior, it sets it off quite well. So
Yeah, and that red leather would have been the original as well?
we think so, ish kind of thing.
Bit
But
of poetic license.
the paint's the original cellulose-based paint as well, which obviously we can't do now. But so that's why it's got a good
Certain
original
look to
look
it.
kind of thing.
Yeah. Fabulous. Well, thank you anyway for talking
All right.
about the car. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.